Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program SuperDawn. I am Vera Osoko with you today on this edition of the program.
And I'm blessed. I want to say good morning and welcome to the Wednesday edition of SuperDawn this morning. So good to be here again.
Good to see you once again this week.
Certainly. It's a good to be here.
Well, today on this program, we're going to be looking at the role of EFCC in fighting corruption. It's very important because loads of people have said, some have said they are fighting corruption properly with the things happening, events happening, names coming out, looters list and the rest. While some other fractions, some other set of people, Nigerians are saying, hey, this is a one-sided fight and it must be fought holistically. And so this morning we want to look at the fight, the role, and we want to look at the new edifice of the EFCC. And away from that, of course, this morning we're going to go through the papers and tell you stories coming out from the dailies this morning. Once again, good morning to you. We go on this break, and when we come back, SuperDawn will continue with the newspaper review. Stay with us.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Back is the newspaper review segment, and we want to look at the Nation newspaper this morning. The first story isn't good. The picture I'm seeing, and there's the picture of the victims. My goodness. The picture story is saying the Grims bought necessarily tax. Coffees bearing the remains of victims, including 2 priests of the Benue killing set for burial in Makurdi. Well, this was yesterday. You could see the pictures of mass for the death. They had a mass in the Catholic Church, Ikeja, yesterday. That's St. Leo Catholic Church. In Abuja, a picture story of Catholic faithfuls and other Christians at the peaceful march in Abuja yesterday. Also, it didn't stop in Abuja. It also continued in Ibadan, where the Catholic Archbishop of Ibadan, Bishop Gabriel Abiguri, leading the peaceful protest in Ibadan yesterday. This is not a good one. And the writer is saying, Catholics in Lagos, or your Benue orders protects killing. I'm going to read that story. Thousands of Catholic faithful nationwide yesterday staged a peaceful protest over the spate of killings in the land. The protesters said the action was to draw the federal government's attention to the wanton killings. According to them, those who are involved in the killings should be unraveled and punished. They specifically condemned the murder of 2 Catholic priests, Reverend Father Joseph Gon and Reverend Felix Lahahu, and 7 other Catholic faithful on Tuesday, April 24th of April. This happened in Benue State during the morning mass, and they were buried yesterday. Seeing really the corpse is really sad.
I walked into the studio this morning and I went through the front page of the papers, and I was really touched, and I called to the attention of a colleague, and I'm like, what's really happening in this country? What's really happening? You know, seeing the lives of these priests and parishioners being slaughtered in just a day goes to a large extent to tell that security in Nigeria needs to be checked seriously, because the international communities are watching, and it is changing our perception about our country. And this administration needs to sit up to make the international community and Nigerians as a whole realize that they are not just sitting down doing nothing, but they are also working as well. But I just hope that security in Nigeria is being looked on and it's become a thing. Insecurity, rather, become a thing of the past.
Okay, we're just praying, but in Abeokuta, Uyo Faithful, also Akwa Ibom State, they says to Buhari, resign now. Over 2,000 Catholic march in Buhari. You have in Oshogbo, Ibadan, Makurdi, Benin, Aba, Enugumina, Ilorin, Warri, Abeokuta, Asaba, Bauchi, Owerri. They organized mass for the lost ones. The loved ones. This is it's callous and wicked. It's really callous and wicked. But we'll just move ahead.
Are you unacceptable?
We have this one. Buhari, Obasanjo blew $16 billion on power project. Wow. And we will also take this story this morning.
It's in all papers on the front page this morning.
But let's take it.
Okay.
$16 billion NIPP funds. This fact sheet, like a recurrent decimal. The debate on what happened to the $16 billion per power project vote yesterday returned to the front burner of the public discourse. President Muhammadu Buhari said Nigerians deserve to know why there was no corresponding power supply after the administration of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo for disbursed whooping about $16 billion cash on power project. Well, I think we've been having these power issues from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Even before Obasanjo, we've been having these issues. I don't know. I just pray that this will just be over soon. But politics is here right now.
It is.
We're beginning to see Obasanjo reacting, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, reacting. And we're beginning to see the president also reacting to issues.
And it's just about a blame game whereby one party or one particular president and the other blaming themselves based on how they spent money on trying to generate sufficient and a lasting power supply in the country. For me, if you ask me, I'll say here that this administration should see what they can do to ensure that power becomes something that is constant and not start throwing blame game on who spent more and who didn't.
We need to just fix it up. But let me read what President Buhari said, and also the former President Olusegun Obasanjo said 2 words. Okay. One of the former President Muhammadu Buhari said one of the former heads of state was bragging that he spent more than 16 billion American dollars, not naira, on power. Where is the power? Then this is from the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and he says the power is in the 7 National Integrated Power Project and 18 gas turbines that Obasanjo's successor did not clear from the port. That's the power. Well,
it's okay.
Everybody's saying his own. Oh, God helps. Okay, we just move ahead. Okay. We have this Biafra Day. Police arrest cause in Rivers. And the rider says, no going back, says member. Men of the E-Crack squad of Rivers State Police Command yesterday arrested members of the RAF Nwandike-led fraction of Movement for Actualization Sovereign State of Biafra, Mosop, during a peaceful march in Port Harcourt, the capital. The Biafra agitators, comprises of men, women, and youth, were reportedly celebrating what they called National Day, and 18 years of struggle for emancipation of Biafra. Many of those arrested are elderly men on camel flag. They are referred as Biafran veteran soldiers. Over 500 persons marched from the popular Isaac Borough Park towards LMF Junction. They sang, danced, and displayed Biafra flags and symbols before being forced to despair at the Garrison Junction, celebrating their day. Okay, let me just take this finally. 2 more stories before we move into the next paper. Killers of praise, orders to face justice, says Osibaju. We also have here in the papers, Ambode's okay flyover for Fagba. Well, Fagba people now, the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode yesterday approved the construction of a flyover at Fagba to ease traffic and reduce travel time on the Penn Cinema Iju Road.
All right, starting off with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning as usual. A lot of stories, but we'll take them one after the other. I'm starting with the bold caption on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and it reads, Buhari to Obasanjo, you wasted $16 billion on power. And the rider reads, your comment based on ignorance, and that's coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo. I'll quickly take the story. President Muhammadu Buhari has queried the spending of $16 billion on power by past administration with nothing to show for it. Buhari said the former head of state even bragged that he spent more than $15 billion on power. Where is the power? Where is the power? He repeats, and now we have to pay the debt, the president said. He stated this while hosting the Buhari Support Organization in Aso Rock Villa yesterday. The group was led by the Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Hamid Ali, who is championing the presidential election campaign. Buhari said the money was spent between 1999 and 2014, a period that spanned former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former President Goodluck Jonathan era. We've talked about that, and I've given my own opinion, you've given your 2 cents about that, and we just hope that those in authority look into that. Now moving on, still on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, outcry over seats of late senators rep. You can find that on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the bottom strips of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, fraud. Court remands Shagari Wali, 3 others. Page 4 has the story. CBN retains rate, worries over election spending. Page 17 have the same story. Nigerians foreign reserve eat for $47 billion. Page 8 have the same story. Now, looking into the papers this morning to see what the stories are actually saying, we have this. Fayemi may quit Buhari's cabinet today. I quickly take the story. Bearing any last-minute change of decision, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Kayode Fayemi, will quit the federal cabinet today. Fayemi is the All-Progressive Congress candidate for the July 14 governorship election in Ekiti State. The minister had last week told the state correspondent that he would resign in 1 week's time. A source at the presidency yesterday told Daily Trust that the minister is expected to announce his resignation during the meeting of the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday. Here is Minister for Steel, Steel and Development, who is going to be stepping down today from his office so as to enable him contest for the forthcoming election.
For me, he would have done that sense. If you want to re-contest, what usually they do is you step down. People were wondering, are you going to step down? We saw the primaries, he partook, he was still the minister while even partaking in the primaries. And for me, I think that was not it at all. I expected him before the primaries.
Step down. Yeah.
Step down.
Even while the vision is loud.
Maybe he wants to be very sure. He doesn't want to do daily bread.
I get that. I get that.
Maybe he wants to be very double sure. Don't let me step down and I didn't just go pass through the test.
Exactly.
Maybe
I get
that was what happened.
I get that. All right, still moving on here. Sultan to Christian leaders. Don't make terrorists win this one. That's coming from the Sultan of Sokoto. Muhammad Saad Abubakar has urged Christian leaders to think twice before making comments that would make terrorists win the war against the Nigerian state. He made the plea while hosting heads of security agencies, religious leaders and journalists to Edina to break the Ramadan fast in his palace on Monday. The monarch was reacting to the publication credited to some Christian leaders that if Lai Sharibu dies in the hand of Boko Haram, there will be a religious war in the country.
Yes.
I have to take a pause, pardon me, because I really do not expect that to be coming from the Christian leaders. Okay, regardless of what is going on in the country, it's quite understanding that the war against Boko Haram, like this present administration has said, they are winning it, but with what we're seeing, there are no signs that these guys are really winning it. But for them to come out and say, if Lai Sharibo die in the custody of the Boko Haram, there will be religious war. I don't know what you think about it.
So why you say you're not expecting that from Christians?
Yeah, I really do not expect that. We should be projecting peaceful comments here.
Okay.
And we should be projecting things that will make us not to have some kind of divide or make Nigerians feel very uncomfortable with the way things are going on in the country.
Okay, I know that this has been on for some time, and if you ask me, Christians are human beings.
Of course I know.
If you know what is happening in the country, there have been killings upon killings. I don't want to talk religion here, but we're talking about losing loved ones. It's that painful. And if it continues like this, the other day, well, retired General Danjuma said something that you have to protect yourself. And I don't think there's anything wrong in protecting myself if the killings continues like this. We cannot continue. But it's not right to go into war, religious war. But what I think we should do now, get ready for yourself. Protect yourself. Look at your environment. If you see strange faces, you can call the police. But I think there must be peace in this land.
All right. Now, let me take the story. Seraki versus IGP, coalition support movement of suspected cultists to Abuja. And a group coalition of concerned Kwara citizens has backed the movement of suspected cultists from Kwara State to Abuja by the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, describing it as a normal police investigation procedure. Members of the group who staged a peaceful protest in Ilorin on Monday said Senate President Bukola Saraki had nothing to fear about the movement of the cultists, corporate, adding that it was not the first criminal matter to be transferred from Kwara State to Abuja. And this story has been in the news since last week.
I know the story. I know about the story for some time now. And the president, Senate President has always said that they're going to gang up against him. And 2 days after his statement, we saw where some cultists
came out and said
he's sponsored. And so
sponsored them.
The whole drama for me, I don't like this media judgment. I prefer you do all your investigations before coming to the public. But most of the times what we see is media judgment. And for me, I don't know where that's going to take us to. Let them do thorough investigation. And I pray that they will not come out again to tell us, hey, sorry, we apologize. They were formed, they were not sincere about it, and the rest, and the story just go under the carpet. If you have concrete evidences, you can go anywhere with it. But unless you do a thorough investigation first, before you begin to accuse people.
Certainly. And with that does it for me on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. You want to know more? Get yourself a copy of Daily Trust.
Away from Daily Trust, we'll move into the News Telegraph this morning. And the story here, very, very boldly written, says, tears as Catholic priest and 7 parishioners are buried. And the writer says, Osibanjo, we will stop senseless killings. This says, Onayi concerns Nigeria will embrace self-defense. We also have in the papers, bishops to Buhari, stop killings or resign. Well, it's in the papers, and you can get hold of the Telegraph. We also have here, and I saw before I came on air, and I screamed. Well, let me read that. MTN, Glo, Airtel set to increase data and call tariffs. Are they increasing it in a time like this in this country? Are they going to increase it when we are saying we're looking for how the public, how the citizenry will even see food to eat? And you're saying you want to increase tariff. I think Nigeria should just drop all of these lines and let's just continue what we're doing before. Honestly, if you ask me.
If you ask me, I'll quickly say something here. You know, I do recharge my phone, and when I recharge my phone, within less than a minute, you find out that your recharge airtime has gone off. And then I'm asking myself, what's happening here? If they're saying they are going to increase tariff, I'm wondering what have they been doing before now? Because you can't recharge your phone. Let's say you recharge your phone with 200 naira or 500 naira, and you just make at least 1 or 2 calls, and the next thing you're seeing 00 naira on your call recharge, and I'm wondering what's really happening.
I think it all boils down to what we're talking about. If you want to increase tariff your data, and you want us to buy units, maybe we all should know how to manage our units. You know, when you're getting units into your phones, maybe they are trying to tell us, hey, stop calling. Maybe. Now, trust Nigerians. Nobody will tell you. Instead of you buying, say you're using 500 naira per day, you might end up using 100 naira. It's not a do or die affair, for God's sake. So I'm not even bothered with that. Well, I don't think...
I want NCC, the Nigerian and Communication Commissions, to really look into it, because we are speaking on behalf of Nigerians. We will really accept that in times like this. Okay,
we also have this custom CG to Buhari. I won't seek election at 70 if I were you. I need to take that story. The Comptroller General of Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, Colonel Ahmed Ali, retired yesterday, stressed that, but for the love of country, President Muhammadu Buhari has no reasons to remain in Aso Rock in his current age of over 70 years. The custom boss, who stated this when he led the Buhari Support Organization to meet with President, said Buhari has made a great sacrifice by choosing to abandon his comfort zone in order to serve Nigerians and improve the lives of the citizens. He said, I have said it and I will repeat it here. Mr. President, with all due respect, at age 70 plus, with a good retirement benefit and with your house in Daura, if I were you, I will see no reason to be in this arena. But why are you here? It is because you love this great country. You left your comfort to serve Nigeria, and that is why, for those of us who love you for who you are, said we must follow you and ensure that your second term in the country becomes a reality. Well, this is another statement.
Yeah, he has come out to give his own.
I don't know if he's speaking for Nigerians or if he's speaking for himself.
He's representing the coalition, so permit me to say speaking for the coalition that he represented.
Well, it is funny when you say this kind of statement, but I expect that your works, what you've done so far,
will speak for you.
Will speak for you. If you've done well, Nigerians knows they've done well.
Certainly.
Time passed when you could just bribe them. They take all the envelopes, take all the salt, branded wrappers, branded sugar, branded rice, bags of rice, with all sorts of politicians' pictures there, boldly placed there. But it's changing. When they take it, they're not going to vote for you.
Yeah.
So it's best you do the right thing while you're in office.
Exactly. We don't expect anything less.
Okay, we have this one. $16 billion per project. Buhari speak out of ignorance. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo saying President Buhari speaks out of ignorance. And he says, I'm ready for proof. So we're waiting for that. And President Buhari says, Obasanjo bragging after he wasted about $6 billion on power. Well, we're waiting. Currency swap. Commence mass food processing for exports. Kalu tells industrialists. Before they start processing for export, they should look inwards and see if we have enough, here first. It's good for us to export our produce, but we must first have enough
for
at least
ourselves.
let's eat. Let it be affordable.
Yeah.
That's the word before you start exporting it. Senate invasion. Omar Agege refuses to testify at panel. And the writer says, as panel decries slow pace of police investigation. I will just take that story. Senator Ovie Omar Agege, APC Delta Central, yesterday refused to testify before the Joint National Assembly ad hoc committee investigating the recent invasion of the Senate by suspected sponsored political talks. Omar Agege, who was recently suspended for 90 legislative days by the Senate, claims his refusals to render testimony to the committee on the fact that he had taken the matter to court and would not want to interfere. So he didn't say anything when it was brought up before the ad hoc committee.
Yeah, I saw that in the news yesterday, still on Super Screen Television, and it's good he had to show up at the probe. So whatever he has to say will not depend on him whether to speak or not to speak about the mischief and the drama that happened at the National Assembly some months back.
Okay, I'll just take this last story. We need to all learn from this. This last one says, spare part dealer's mother's wife over infidelity. Detective attached to the homicide section of the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department, Panti Yaba, Lagos State, have launched investigation into the alleged murder of a mother of three, Joy Chukwu. Joy Chukwu was allegedly stabbed to death by her husband, To Chukwu, a spare part dealer at the popular Ladipo Market on Monday at Mushin residence. Well, I don't know what is really entering people. I don't even understand. I'm short on word here.
We've talked about this. You know, the last time we raised the issue about domestic violence was when we saw a Lagos-based lawyer kill the husband for the same issue of infidelity. And now we're having another same story again. And I'm wondering, as in, what comes to mind to people when they think of taking maybe any other objects to take the life of another person? What comes to their mind? If you have a spouse or a partner who has cheated on you, if you feel you don't want to continue with that marriage again, fine, it's all well and good, but taking the other person's life, it's really not acceptable here. It's highly not acceptable.
I don't really understand what will make it. I keep saying it here and I will not stop talking about it, where we need to begin to watch our emotions.
Exactly.
So people just flare up if they're angry and all sorts come out of their mouth as though they are garbage. You know, when you're not a refuse dump, all sorts comes out and the other person is looking at you and says, hey, me, you talk to me this way, and that's how it starts. I think we need to manage our anger level. There's a limit. When you see that you cannot control it again, walk away. If she's committing this kind of crime, just send her out of your house. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Or go to the parents, or go to church, or I don't know. But for you to take the knife and stab until you see that she's not breathing again, you're a murderer.
That's an act of, the highest act of wickedness, if you ask me.
I don't know. We can just go on to the next.
Okay, quickly on the Punch newspaper this morning. A lot of headlines here, and I'll just take them one after the other. Starting up with the top. Police disrupt Biafran Day parade in Enugu, Imo, Delta State. Find that on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. I have this for you. Only lazy Nigerians are angry under Buhari, and that's coming from the Custom Bus, page 21 of the story. Let me quickly take that here. Page 21 of the Punch newspaper this morning says, only lazy Nigerians are hungry under the watch of...
Lazy again, coming out from the Custom Bus. From the Custom
Bus, coming out from the Custom Bus, and this is while he visited the president at the Aso Villa yesterday with a coalition to support a re-election bid by the president. I quickly take the story. The Controller General, beg your pardon, of the Nigeria Customs Service, Ahmed Ali, on Tuesday said only lazy Nigerians who claim to be angry on the president, Muhammadu Buhari. Ali said this while enumerating what he called the achievements of the present administration in agriculture when he led members of the Buhari support organization to the presidential villa, Abuja. According to him, manna does not fall from heaven, hence the lazy must be angry. He said, what more can we say in terms of growth of wealth? People say we are angry. Of course, the lazy must be angry because if you do not work hard, manna doesn't fall from heaven. I really do not need to go straight far into that story.
I don't know why he made that statement. If you think businesses are striving, you're not saying the truth.
Yeah.
Nigerians are not lazy, if you ask me.
Regardless.
Nigerians are not lazy. And I don't want to believe we are lazy. Because I know we're not.
Of course we're not. Of course we're not.
If you stay where, if you look around, let's use Lagos as a case study. In the morning as early as 4 o'clock, people are out of their houses trying to survive. You know, and late nights, that same people are getting home 10, 11.
Yeah.
Trying to also look for...
Just as I got home at past 12 yesterday night.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. And the traffic grid log is
it was because of the rain.
So, excuse me. excuse me, and you're up this morning again, and someone is saying they're complaining because they're lazy. No, they're complaining because everybody knows that the economy is a bit down now.
Yeah.
It's just taking shape. And it's going to take some time.
Longer time.
And people are going to go through stress. That's why they must complain if they're going through stress. So don't say Nigerians are lazy. The lazy ones are complaining. Even the ones that are not lazy are also complaining.
Of course.
Even the rich are also complaining. Who is buying? Who are those buying your products? Who are those buying your produce even on the farm? Those farmers. People have now started doing things for themselves. So I don't think that statement coming from him.
If I were had to it, for a public office order says such, I think it's highly unaccepted. So there is no justification, Mr. CG, for you to say that.
No way.
Regardless of you trying to be good and faithful to your boss, it's not acceptable. Highly unacceptable. I move over now to the bold headlines on the delayed, beg your pardon, the Punch this morning. $16 billion power projects. Buhari attacks Obasanjo, ex-president. React. Page 7 have the story, but I quickly take their reactions as written on the front page of the Punch this morning. One of the former heads of state was bragging that he spent more than $16 billion, not naira, on power. Where is the power? That's coming from our President Muhammadu Buhari, and in reaction to that, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said this: while it is doubtful that a president with proper understanding of the issue would alter such, records from the National Assembly as exculpated Obasanjo. You really want to know why that fracas is coming from both presidents? You go get yourself the Punch rather, and look at page 7 of that story. Priests, parishioners buried in Benue, Catholic protests nationwide. Page 10 have the story. We've taken that and I want to take that again. FG moves to review tax laws to woo investors. And page 25 have the story. Lagos spare parts dealer kills lovers, staff corpse in Benin. Page 4 and 5 have the story. Okay,
that particular story is different from the other one we did.
It is the same story, but
this one...
Punch went further to give more investigation on it, and let me quickly just take the story here. Romance of a Lagos couple has come to a tragic end.
The same, I thought there was one that happened in Adoshodi, where they caught a guy that killed the girlfriend, not the wife.
Okay.
That's 2 days ago. Killed the wife, and the girlfriend rather the next morning put her in the bucket. Is that the same story?
It's still the same story.
Okay, so they are married actually.
Yeah, they are. Okay, and I have this here. We are not involved in toll gate clash, and that's the 7-Up bottling company, which remember we took that story some days back, coming up to say they are not involved. The management now speaking that they are not involved in the clash between the LASMA officials when the president, beg your pardon, the governor of the state, Mr. Akinwumi, but was on the road.
They interrupted the route.
Yeah, for him to take another route. Gunmen kidnapped Zamfara commissioner wife, 2 children, relative. Pandemonium broke on Tuesday in Zumi local government area of Zamfara state after some gunmen reportedly stormed the house of the state commissioner for youth, sport and skills acquisition, Abdullahi Bore, and abducted his wife, 2 children and 2 older relatives. The incident happened 2:10 a.m. and was reported to the State Police Command. The State Police Public Relations Officer Mohammed Shehu confirmed the incident, adding that the investigation were ongoing to locate and rescue the victim. This is really saddening, and I know the family of this kidnapped people would rather be in the sad mood rather at this point in time. They're really traumatized at this point in time. And finally, I take on the daily. Beg your pardon, I keep saying Daily Trust. The Punch newspaper this morning: cyber fraudster impersonates Ambode's wife. The wife of Lagos State Governor Bolanle Ambode has raised the alarm on the activities of a yet-to-be-identified person who has been impersonating her on the internet for alleged fraudulent purposes. It was gathered that the suspected cyber fraudster had been disguising as Ambode's representative and has been making use of social media platforms to extort money from members of the public. Ambode, in a statement by the Assistant Director of Public Affairs, Falashade Kadiri said the certain individual has been masquerading as others, the governor's wife, representing her for the purpose of extorting money from unsuspecting persons using social media platform. I'm really baffled why some people have to go to this.
No, some people are even still falling to these kind of things. I don't know. Why should I go through? Why won't I go straight to allow?
But one way or the other, you will take it to be true when you see pictures of her on the social media platform.
On the social media, pictures. They've used pictures to deceive a lot of people.
Yeah.
A black man, you'll be seeing with a picture of a white man. You just get. I don't think the citizens should get themselves educated. Don't let anybody deceive you. This social media thing, it has its advantages and also disadvantages. So don't let anybody deceive you. That's what we can take.
And also I want to say that if someone is deceiving you, you just try as much as you can to just use your senses.
Use your senses.
Imagine someone of the wife of a governor asking you for money. Hello. I really want to
be asking the governor's wife to give you money. That's just it. This is where we come to an end of this segment. We'll go on this break now, and when we come back, we want to look at the role of the EFCC in the fighting corruption in Nigeria. We'll be right back.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, we want to look at the role of EFCC in fighting corruption, especially in this country. If you look at the fight against corruption, one must say that, hey, we can do more. And if you are on the other side, you might say they're not doing what they need to have done. But looking at the beginning of the establishment in 2003, the EFCC, with the chairperson, Nuhu Ribadu, we've seen loads of arrests and high-profile arrest of people. But right now, do we still have that kind of numbers of people that have been arrested? And have they been convicted? We're looking at sending people to sentence, sending them to jail. And that's what we're doing today. Their role in fighting corruption. How will they help in the fight of corruption? Yes, that's it.
Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of drama play out in EFCC for a very long time. EFCC, was set up by former President Olusegun Obasanjo in 2003. It was established for the sole aim of extirpating corruption in Nigeria. 15 years down the line, the question that is on our mind here is, we've seen a lot of cases of convictions, we've seen a lot of cases of trials, we've seen a lot of cases of investigations, we've seen a lot of cases of people being charged to court, and the question here is, we don't get them, we don't see them being prosecuted.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, why would you convict someone of a particular crime and you don't prosecute that person? It's going to give other people the room to want to go ahead to steal and to loot and then still feel free as if nothing is happening. That's just...
Are you saying there's nothing worth celebrating when we look at the establishment in 2003? After Nuhu Ribadu, we saw Farida Waziri took over.
Yeah.
After Waziri took over, we saw Ibrahim Lamode took over. And we saw numbers of significant arrests. But can't we celebrate their works? Are you saying it's not enough?
Arresting is okay. Publishing the names, just like this present administration is doing, it's okay. But the key thing here is, when you arrest and you charge them and you convict them without prosecuting them, it's like you chasing two birds in the forest, and at the end of the day, you're not catching anything. Now look at the case of former governor of Delta State, yes, James Ibori. His case was transferred, I think, to South Africa or US, or if I'm not mistaken. And you see the way that the judicial system over there handled the case, and this man was put behind bars. If we have that same situation here in Nigeria, we have that same case, same scenarios in Nigeria, whereby all those that have been those that have been charged, those that have been convicted, have been prosecuted, we would be having issues of EFCC not living up to the expectation of fighting corruption in Nigeria.
But I know that during Nuhu Ribadu's time, we saw where former governors, top officials were arrested during that time. After his time, we barely see things like that. And could it be that the institution is weak? Could it be the institution is weak?
It was like that because, you know, anything that starts first is always old. It's always high. It's always permit me to say, the commitment is always there. The passion, the drive, and every other thing you can think of is always there at the beginning. Nuhu Ribadu was the first to chair the EFCC, and at that point in time, he was under former President Olusegun Obasanjo administration. And you know who Obasanjo is in his person. He gave him a strict order to get those people arrested, and he went as far as getting them and bringing them to book. It was okay for us to have them.
They said he was doing that to fight the opposition, to fight his enemies. But he used Nuhu to fight his enemies.
That is what we have been hearing now and then.
I am not.
And it's still happening now. It's still happening now. Okay. Look at this present administration now, with what has been happening thus far since Mr. Ibrahim Magu came on board. What have we been getting? This present administration fighting the opposition party, the PDP, over corruption charges and the likes, and some weeks back it had been in the news, and the drama has been that list of brutal lists have been here and there and all that. But you also agree with me that still on this fight against corruption, that this administration are claiming that they are working towards winning. Former Senator Musli Obanikoro was with the PDP before moved over to the APC, and Professor Sagi came out to say that the list of looters, the list he gave to the Honourable Minister for Communication and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, saying that he included Senator Obanikoro's name on the list. But for the fact that Obanikoro is now with the APC, his name was out of it. Don't you think that is witch hunting?
I don't know if, I don't know the system. But I think we need to begin to look at our institutions. I know that the EFCC cannot stand alone because you have the judiciary and you also have the police working hand in hand to make sure that this fight against corruption stands. But can we really fight against corruption if we are biased? Can we get that done? If you look at what happened to the former South African president, Jacob Zuma, he had 16 count charges. And he was also, you know, looking at what happened. He appeared in court.
Yes.
When people begin to look at events like this, I think it's going to be sending signals that it doesn't matter who you are, your position, you can also go through the courts.
Now, I actually followed that story of former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma's case. I actually followed it very well because you find out that even from his own ANC party, there was most pressure on him and say, Mr. President, you are guilty of these charges. And since you're guilty of these charges, the best thing you need to do for your good and for the good of the same country to protect the integrity of this country and to protect the integrity of the ANC, the best thing is for you to step down and face the court.
We also have have loads of examples that we can give out. If you also look at the Brazilian former president, he went through all of this for 12 years. He was sentenced for corruption for 12 years. Surprisingly, if you look at Peru, his own was so striking because he took monies for construction. He was giving some percentage, $3,000 for the construction. They gave him, the people that were handling the construction, just as take for giving us that construction. He was also sentenced to prison. So if we begin to see this happen, if we begin to see their role this way, I think it will help the fight against corruption.
The fight against corruption, we must understand that for we to win this fight against corruption, all hands must be on deck. EFCC, as it is now, do not really have all that, permit me to say, that manpower to fight against corruption. Our judiciary system must also be in check, and also there must not be any form of interference from the executive. Now, like we all know, it is the objective and the responsibility of the president to appoint the EFCC chairman. And if the EFCC chairman is going to be appointment is going to be coming from the president, you will agree with me that it's going to be dancing to the tune of the president's administration.
So you're saying that it should be independent?
Of course it has to be independent.
The appointment should be independent.
Let it be assigned by the National Assembly. That is my opinion.
Okay.
That is the reason why we keep having an issue with this present 8th National Assembly not willing to confirm the present acting chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu.
Okay, also looking at what has happened, some of them had said that it's because of where they are situated at, they have issues. Right now, they build 24 billion edifice for them. Some Nigerians are saying we don't need those edifices. We need something else from the EFCC. But we had interviews on looking also at the EFCC with the 24 billion edifice, and we'll take that interview now. We'll be right back.
My name is Comrade Alhaji Okorodu. I'm the former chairman of NUPE Lagos Zone and also the chairman of the United Labour Congress, Lagos State Chapter. When coming to your question,
please
let me be frank with you. EFCC, they are trying their best. Only that the task before them is too enormous and is still overwhelming. And I can say categorically, the fear of EFCC is the beginning of wisdom for Nigerian corrupt politicians. Because I can say more than 80% of Nigerian politicians are extremely corrupt. They are into politics to embezzle our money. And when they get position, they believe that they need to acquire wealth that will take care of their family, yet unborn generation, at the expense of Nigerians. And with the establishment of EFCC, if the government in power has willingness, political will, to prosecute the real corrupt politicians, the better for this country. And to come about the edifice they put in place in Abuja, to me, is too bogus. It's too much. And who knows whether such money they use to build such things was budgeted for. Is it part of the supplementary budget? And where did they get the money if it's not budgeted for? You can't be throwing stone while you are in a glass house. You are saying what people are doing that is against the Constitution. You are also partaking in doing that. Nobody clap with one hand. You have to join hands together. Whatever this government wants to do, as far as they have the mantras of saying they are fighting corruption, they must fight it with clean hand. Let them live above board. Let Nigerians see that the change they voted for, see the change they are seeing. But come to the operation so far, the activities of EFCC. Firstly, let me give kudos to them for the effort they've made so far in ensuring that they retrieved some of our stolen money. And I know, according to what we gather at the
back, well, that was the former NUPENG chairman, zonal chairman Lagos, talking about that same building. But we have lots of people we'll be bringing to you. But let's. You heard what he said.
Yeah. One thing I want to pick out from what he said was that the 24 billion naira that was spent on that edifice, was it part of the budget? That's a critical aspect we need to look at it. And I'll quickly say this to you now. The EFCC has been complaining of poor funding that has hampered its basic operation. Now, the question now on my mind, which I want to believe is on the mind of every well-meaning Nigerian, is, with this 24 billion naira, are we saying that the EFCC is not well funded?
Well, it didn't just happen this year.
Okay.
The building has been on for some time. But what I think is happening is we should look at the institution very well. Do they have enough debtors? Just like the PVCs, we should have debtors collection. How is it run? The welfare of the staff. Loads of things should have been considered. I appreciate when I saw the building, but I'm looking at the welfare of the staff, the operations, what they need. Did they all have everything they needed? But let's hear from other people as well. We'll go on this break. Some other Nigerians too were talking about that edifice.
My name is Comrade. I like jailing corrupt politics.
Whether they have a data bank. And this is a challenge to the Nigerian police, because I'm just coming from the special fraud unit to see the OC legal, and I noticed that the building that Ogunshaki, who retired as AIG, set up for forensic analysis, it has been turned to administrative office. I'm aware, I can recall that Dr. Lee is a world-renowned pathologist. That is the man that uncovered the death, mystery of the cause of death of John Kennedy. He came to Nigeria to visit that place. I'm aware because I was invited. You know, but the place is no longer there, so Nigerian police don't have a forensic laboratory that can meet anything. We need such things. Now, I've always advocated for joint intelligence sharing committee. All the agencies, immigration, police, FRON, all the agencies, DSS, form a joint committee to share intelligence. And no, each agency want to do the order. They want to be seen to be the one that break the genes. They want to be seen to be the one that uncover crime, box the gangsters and all that. They need to work together. So we need to, commend the EFCC for this because it started, I gathered, during Nuribadu's time. It has been commissioned during the acting chairman, Magu. And I hope this new building will be reflected on the welfare of the operatives of EFCC. Because I don't know if you don't pay investigators at EFCC very well, I don't know what you expect them to do. When, yes. Yeah. Yes. I've said it before that 26 billion at this time is a huge fund. I've said it before, considering the situation of the country. I also added that while maintaining that edifice, are they going to close all the other regional offices? They will not. They will still maintain them. The Lagos office is still there. So to me, the money spent there was too much. So the fact is that, and nobody is going to come up to tell us that there is an audit of the amount spent, how it was spent, where the money come from, how it was sourced, whether it was budgeted for, whether it was allocated, how did you source all this fund to build this money. This will be another topic entirely, and it might give reason for investigations, you know. So my take generally is that the amount spent on it. And how would that edifice help in the fight against corruption? Now, because the fact that you have a big office does not mean that those stealing money will stop stealing. It will not. So, but it will only give comfort to operatives, which of course is good too. You know, the fight against corruption, my own take has always been we should evolve a system that would discourage the practice of corruption. Look at, we have data. The Independent National, Independent National Electoral Commission, they take data of voters. Immigration, they take data of voters. NEC, they take data of voters. The ID, National ID card, they take data of voters. Even the banks. So if you put all these things together, and it won't cost much money, you have data of almost 80% of Nigerians. And so when there is a crime, it is easy to trace. And the people that are carrying cash to their... Because fighting crime should not be all about arresting and prosecuting. You must put something in place to discourage. Is it not the one you arrest that is called a thief? My friend, Dr. Nwobuke, is detained now because he was the one caught. You understand? So it is the person that is caught, and that's the person that they call a criminal. So we have a lot of criminals. People that are taking money, cash, storing cash in their houses. Where did they get the cash from? It's from the bank. So the bank is supposed to report, according to what I know, the bank is supposed to report, if you are withdrawing in the essence of 10 million cash, the bank is supposed to report to National Intelligence, I think there is a Finance Intelligence Agency that was attached to EFCC before that are now on their own. You're supposed to report to EFCC if there is any person, individual, withdrawing more than 5 million, and if a company is withdrawing more than 10 million cash. But where does all those cashes we are seeing come from? It comes from the bank. So the bank are also culpable in the fight against corruption. But if you are able to put all these small things together, we will get data. That has taken up. The police should, improve on their commands. I did my youth service at 4CID Alagbon, early 90s. I was at Alagbon yesterday, the same way it is. I've not seen any improvement, so the police should do the same thing. They should come up with a forensic lab, the concept Ogunchaki had died with when he retired, when he left as CPSFU. That's my take, so that we don't start delving into extensive issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's important that, we have nice edifice and whatever, but I can tell you something. Nigeria has more than enough edifices, even for EFCC to take over one and use. In Abuja alone, which is the state capital where they ought to be, they don't necessarily have to be in Abuja, I tell you, because there are so many edifices here in Lagos. Where the EFCC is in Lagos, we have a NEPA building there that is a waste. Whatever. There are so many federal government properties that are there. What the EFCC should concentrate on is data collection, fingerprinting. Let every Nigerian have their data, not only with EFCC, but everything that the bank has, the EFCC should have. We should link all of these things, and that is what can make the EFCC as an institution more effective, more proactive in what they are doing. But for us to keep thinking about edifice building so many billion, we don't need it. We're trying to fight corruption, and this is the agency that is helping, that is giving Nigeria the big accolade it's getting. What they should be doing is to be seen to be cost effective. Let us go and take over some of those buildings, federal government buildings that litter the whole world, particularly here in Nigeria. As far as I'm concerned, it is even better for the EFCC not to be situated in Abuja. Let it look for anywhere else, get one of those federal government buildings, situate itself there, enclose its bank. It should have a storage bank where all data that has ever been used by all the telephone companies, all the banks, all the whatever, should be put in, computed and collated together. That is what makes the effect of this sort of institution.
Back, well, we heard what some notable Nigerians are saying. We saw the Shady Martins, the GM of Metro FM. We also heard what Tony Dania, the legal practitioner, said concerning that edifice. We also heard where Kurudo Tokubo also talked about it. Looking at it, when we saw the interviews from the acting chairman of the EFCC, he said that building will help. Also, it is a tool also to fight corruption. Blessed, do you agree with what the people have said and with what the acting chairman said?
Now, a lot of people have said a lot about this building, and more reactions are still on about the building. But I believe we all have our own opinions concerning that. But if you ask me, I would say here that it is highly unacceptable. Highly unacceptable in the sense that 24 billion naira to be spent on just, permit me to use the word just, an ordinary structure. It's not a guarantee that the war against corruption in Nigeria is even we are actually winning it. For me, I'll say it's corruption fighting against corruption, or better still, these same people who are saying that they are fighting corruption are the one that giving more room for corruption. Now, I would...
why did you say they are giving more room for corruption?
Now, I would, Mr.
Because the building didn't start this year anyway.
Of course, I know. I would, Mr. Ibrahim Mago, want to say to us that the 24 billion naira came about. Fine, I agree that the building did not start this year.
From this administration even.
Yeah, it has been on for a very long time. But you agree with me that even before a final work was made on that construction, an approval would have gotten to him as the chairman of the EFCC. So if he says, okay, fine, 24 billion naira for such an edifice, fine, I'm okay with it, and he signs it, the money, you will agree with me. I strongly believe that when construction works are ongoing, but at a point they have to stop construction work if the contractors feel they don't have enough sufficient funds to carry on with the project. They'll stop work. But if they have this support financially, that okay, fine, this project we need to go on with it, and the funds are available, you see the contractors come back to work on site. So I strongly believe that one way or the other, this current EFCC chairman, Mr. Ibrahim Mago, has one way or the other approved the fund for this edifice.
This has been a max for some time, but the total sum up came up to $24 billion. But the question right now is, where are we really? Do we have that money? Are we saying we don't have money and we're spending this money? You've heard from Nigerians, and we're going to do a part 2 of this particular topic, looking at the fight against corruption. And could it also be that, hey, that edifice, that building will help the minds of those working in the place? What do you think we need to we need to consider before putting up such a structure? Is it that we don't have structures to use? Could it be that the former ones they had was not good enough? Because it was said at one point that they were renting apartments. In Lagos, I know that they have their own buildings. Yeah. And I know that, just like Shey Martin said, I know that we have loads of government buildings that have been abandoned. You know, a lot of people said, you need to have used that one instead of building a 24 billion edifice like that. But we must fight corruption anyway. Building, no building, corruption must be fought. Remember, the president was alleged, he said that former governors, members, some influential Nigerians stole about 183 billion. When you begin to hear figures coming out from the president saying these are the amount that has been taken away fraudulently from Nigerian poors, one begins to wonder, how are we going to really conquer this cankerworm called corruption in Nigeria? But there's going to be a part 2 of it that we'll talk more on that.
Okay, those who have spoken have said quite a lot, and the key thing there is data collation. If EFCC will have a bank whereby they can collect data and have, permit me to say, a register whereby each person that has been convicted and found guilty of such, they just have to go for the next step of prosecuting them. When they have been prosecuted, I strongly believe that others will learn, because we'll
when you talk about prosecuting them, you go to see court again, judiciary.
Yes,
that's another
thing, and our laws are really not helping. So I believe when we're going to be looking at this on the part 2, we're going to be looking more on the judicial aspect of it, and the laws that are fighting
existing laws
that are working against the fight against corruption.
Should we review our existing laws and all of that? But we have to end here, and blessed, it is time for sports. We'll go on this break. We'll be right back.
SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Youngest team since the 8-2. You're a bit fearful?
Yes, try not to mention the 8-2 mark.